Now, some of you might remember, and most of you shouldn't because this would be weird, that I made a channel post about 4 months ago asking some of the weapons / loadouts that you guys really enjoy using in this game. And I got a pretty good list. This was sort of what I compiled from this thread. I gave 1 vote for every person who liked it. And then every vote, it starts at 1 because somebody had to post it. So the number 1 most voted, most fun loadout was the Xenon bow, and then going down from here. I will not be covering every single one of these loadouts because I went a different direction. I was going to cover all of these in one video, but even if I give a couple minutes to each of these, this is going to be like a 20+ minute video. And not all of these loadouts were something that I really exactly knew how to work with. Like a tiny instrument of death spam was fun on paper, but even with double reload, it's only shooting like once per second. I wasn't exactly blown away by it. So what I've done instead was I compiled what I thought to be the most interesting from these, capping out at 5 loadouts to share with you guys today. And then depending on how much you guys enjoy this video and how much you guys want to see a part 2, we might compile that from there. And going forward, this video will allow plenty of you to have a great opportunity to comment down below. If you have a loadout you'd like to suggest, I want to ask 2 things of everybody watching. First, look to make sure that nobody else commented your build. Like if you want to say something like, oh, Paleoluna is super fun, look for that Paleoluna comment, for example. And if you do share your loadout, please be detailed, the exact heroes you use, what weapons you use, suggestions for alternatives, that kind of thing. Really, really helps me bring that loadout into my testing ground and allows me to actually compile it into a useful video. So without further ado, let's get into, in no particular order, mind you, these are all just fun, there is no tier list here. Let's get into the first build. Okay, so the very first loadout I want to get into is an interesting take on a Critsplosions melee build. If you guys don't know what Critsplosions melees means, that's essentially our community colloquial term for crit hits cause an explosion. And our little testing here, our testing weapon here is a Stormblade. There are like a ton of weapons that have Critsplosions. I'll try to link some of them below, but I might just link the best melees video down below because that best melees video covers all the melees, including Critsplosion melees. And the Stormblade is my personal favorite. It might not be the best. I've never actually really compared all of them exactly. That could be its own video. But essentially, this sword is, a regular sword, but it also explodes when you crit. But instead of running like a crit rating perk or an attack speed crit rating perk, we're running double attack speed, and Luna is nowhere to be seen in this melee build. We have gone with Whiteout Fiona in the lead. Full credit to Schnemli here. He was the very first person to bring this to light. I thought it was a little weird running Whiteout Fiona in the lead, and I'm going to say it right now. This is not the highest DPS this weapon can get. This is not peak performance. I am certain there are probably better ways to run this. Maybe Corrosive Strike's in the lead, perhaps. I'm not certain, but I figured since we're critting all the time anyway, totally rocking out would be a fun way to go. As you guys know, I generally prefer Blast in the Past because when you're in close quarters combat, dying is very easy, but we're having fun today. And I just wanted to see what's the biggest, baddest booms we can get. So Whiteout Fiona's in the lead. Double attack speed is also important because I wanted to share something with you. I might have gotten this wrong, but I sort of stand by my logic on this. And that's that I don't want to get too far into it because this video will be pretty long, but I have a 50.5% chance to crit right here. And we are swinging at a 0.32 attack speed. If I swapped this attack speed off, we would take 25% longer per swing. Essentially, it'd be 0.4 instead of 0.32. We'd be swinging 25% less, and we'd only be gaining 9.5% higher chance to crit. So by my logic, it could be flawed, by mine and Schnemmi's logic, double attack speed is actually equaling more overall crits. The faster swinging, the more you crit. I'm not certain if that's exactly how that works out, but it doesn't really matter because we have Totally Rockin' Out to offset things. I'm not going to spend too much time on this build, but Corrosive Strikes is a thing because we're critting a lot anyway. We have Subwoofers, Fumble, and Battle Beat just to get this going. I don't believe in my gameplay I was using Subwoofers because I use this on stream later on, but we're also using Monster Smash. And there's for a couple of reasons. 1, Subwoofers is in the way, don't want to use coconuts. And 2, I recorded a lot of loadouts in today's video, and honestly, just for a couple of minutes of gameplay, I got sick of grabbing coconuts. So we use Arleniza, which was actually fine because she gives you a base percent on how much damage you're doing. I think based on the percentage you're missing health, but you also get more life leech, based on how much damage your sword is doing as well. It doesn't really mention that very clearly. So the hard-hitting crits that we're doing do heal you for a good amount, and I didn't find dying to be very easy in this build. So hopefully I've shown enough gameplay throughout this, but this is a good chance to check it out now. It's awesome. Sometimes, you know, RNG isn't on your side, but even without totally rocking out active, we have a 50.5% chance to crit, and the booms are great. Just everything dies super comfortably. I was running this, like I said, in the 164 players. I was with a full team at that point, but on stream, I was having a great time. So it was a pretty useful build. So again, I can't truly for certainty say that this is the highest DPS. I'm sure you could swap out some heroes here, try to be creative, but yeah, this was certainly a fun way to play. The next loadout has its own video. Link to that down below right before I get into it, but it's essentially a rocket build. I'm not going to get too far into the ins and outs. Suffice it to say that Star Spangled allows you to save ammo when you shoot rockets, and Enduring Machine also allows you to not consume ammo. I'll get into the specifics and the maths of that in the video down below, but for today we're just going to talk about the results, and that is crazy amount of explosive damage, crazy amount of rockets going out of your magazine. You don't have to reload nearly as often, and it is a fantastic experience. I use the V6 launcher for this, and some of you have actually noticed that I have the V6 launcher supercharged. It is because of this loadout. This is why it's supercharged. I switched mine to nature because we were recording in a water mission, and this thing is awesome. I also have affliction on this because it's very, very cool to tick away at enemies and just get free damage out of that. Very, very powerful, and the rest of this loadout is just Warcry cooldown, Warcry extension, Warcry extension. We want to have that Warcry going as much as possible because the longer our Warcry is active, the less ammo we'll be consuming from our magazine, and the longer we can shoot for, you know, less rockets overall. A swap to this build for any of these heroes, I would recommend leadership, but practice in combat is technically less powerful than base solo. If you can get the max 15 kills, you will get a 6-second extension. So technically speaking, Ghoul Trooper takes the cut here, and a 17% launcher damage bonus would be nice. I preferred without it, but it's a great pick either way. I'll leave that up to you. It doesn't really matter, I don't think. Launchers already do a ton, but I kind of left a lot of enemies at 1 HP. You can use at your own discretion. Either way is great. Of course, I have coconuts here because 16% damage and more health is great, but if you don't want to use coconuts, then 17 is more than 16. So if you have a different way to heal, or you're staying far enough back to not be taking damage, perfectly good option. I don't even blame you. Happy Holidays is a must here to get the cooldown for that Warcry, and it's an overall fantastic build. You don't need to use the V6 launcher. Any high mag size rocket would work, so the snowball launcher or the cannonade. The rest of that gets explored in the video down below, but yeah, a very, very fun build indeed. All right, this is a loadout. I really just, it's not even about the loadout. So this is what we're using. Buckshot Raptor in the lead. I'll explain why in a second. Blast from the Past wanted to keep it easy and boring. Coconuts, locked and reloaded, all the things that buff shotguns. Nothing fancy here, except for our shotgun. I am using the pop shot with double reload speed. As you can see on screen, this thing reloads faster than it shoots. You will spend more time firing this weapon than reloading, and in my opinion, that's how all shotguns should be. The pop shot here is perked with double reload speed, mag size, and crit rating. And that's important because mag size means that you have more bullets, and that's important. Obviously you have more bullets, but it's important because usually the reload speed is based on how many bullets you have. So 1.6 seconds is how long all 9 bullets should take. So upping the mag size and the reload speed allows you to get the most amount of shells into this weapon as fast as possible, and that left us with really only 1 damage perk, and I figured, okay, well, let's just do crit rating and throw buckshot in the lead. So we have a 38% chance to do 275% damage. I don't know. I didn't do the math. I didn't care. This is just for fun. I don't think this is the highest DPS the shotgun can be, but oh my god, it's so fun. It is a very, very enjoyable experience. This thing is amazing, and I spent a Corey perk. You might have known that the pop shot came with a 5 headshots in a row 6 perk. Not only does it come with that trash 6 perk, but I didn't even realize when I was recording this, you don't need a voucher for the pop shot. So if you research it the normal way that you can get regular weapons, you will get that trash 6 perk, unfortunately. It's not a lot. You can't reliably get headshots on a shotgun. The pellets, I don't know exactly how it counts, but it's not consistent, and it's very annoying to have to worry about headshots when you're running around the shotgun. And crit hit snaring is still not providing any damage. But I don't know if they added this and I missed it or whatever. Maybe I've mentioned this in the past and I just forgot. Doesn't matter. Affliction is an option, and it does so much damage right now. So yes, I spent one of my 19 core reperks on it, and I have no regrets. I also changed it to nature because, again, we recorded it in a water zone today. And yes, the pop shot with double reload is a fantastic experience. I will also add, it doesn't need to be the pop shot. This is just the weapon that Cthulhu showed me forever ago. Shouts to her for showing me this, because this was just a very, very fun thing. She just went ahead and said, here, dropped it on the ground. Try this. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to double reload. What do you try it? And well, here we are. You can probably give double reload mag size or double reload to any big shotgun. Like the Huskbuster would be a great candidate. The Ground Powder would be a great candidate. I just screwed around the pop shot. You are plenty welcome to have as much fun as you can. Just give it any of your favorite shotguns, and you could have a pretty good time with this. All right. This is a callback to a recent video I posted. Depending on when this video goes out, I don't know how recent this was, but I just compared the Nocturno and the Scourge against each other. And one of the things I've mentioned, you guys on stream definitely know this, Twitch link down below. I've been using this loadout a little bit, but I've been combining Crackshot with the Storm King Scourge. Let's explain what's happening here. He ups the amount of damage you're doing. Stability is a non-factor on PC. The recoil and everything is just not a problem. The bloom isn't really anything I've had any concern with. So we're really only looking at the 2.9% damage here. You can get a maximum of 145% more damage overall just by shooting 50 bullets and not reloading. And when you're using the Storm King Scourge, you don't have to reload. I think we all know where this is going. As long as you don't stop to build, you don't swap your weapon, and you don't reload, which you kind of can't with the Scourge. In the sense with the Scourge, you just don't want it to overheat. Once you overheat, that counts as a reload, and you've ruined your bonus. That has happened to me in the past. But if you keep it going, holy guacamole, it is insanely strong. And yes, you can pair Bulletstorm Jonesian support, get an extra 25% damage. On top of that, you are getting essentially a 170% overall damage bonus. That is a huge, huge bonus. You are doing way more damage, and I figured that's not nearly enough. Let's give it Totally Rockin' Out. Now, full disclosure, with Totally Rockin' Out active, it is slightly better to use crit damage in the lead from Sledgehammer here. That would probably be more damage output, but once you do the math, it's actually like barely. As far as we could figure, it's only like 10 to 20% more damage. If I'm crazy wrong and you want to correct me, go for it. If you want to just use Sledgehammer in the lead because you're using Totally Rockin' Out, that's probably fine as well. I don't even blame you. But he's working perfectly fine in support, and we got Battle Beat and Fumble just so we don't have to stop and eat any subwafers or anything like that. And we also have Startup as mentioned, but I wanted to put on Assault Crit Damage and Assault Damage. Yes, I forewent Coconuts again for two reasons. Well, three, I guess. Three, because Totally Rockin' Out is healing me a good amount, and you saw in most of my gameplay, I was just standing next to two campfires, and with my trap durability, I don't know what the durability was on the campfires, but they lasted way longer than I did, so it kind of doesn't matter. And as long as you're killing the stuff, you're not going to die anyway. The second reason was, I was sick of grabbing Coconuts. I'd been recording so many loadouts, and picking up Coconuts is RNG, and it got annoying, and I didn't want to do it. And third, stopping to eat Coconuts ruins our buff, so I wanted to stopping. I wanted to just keep firing the Scourge, try not to let it overheat, and I was essentially solo defending this 140 retrieve the data, and I did fail. I was just trying to get gameplay. I didn't seriously think that would work, but honestly, if you get 4 people running this loadout, you could have some good success. I don't want to suggest that you might be able to do endurance without traps doing this, but I'd like to see somebody try. And if somebody already has, link me down below. That could be a fun build. Very, very strong loadout. In my personal use case, I would probably go back to Blast from the Past and maybe not use Coconuts or whatever, but I like to have that consistent health. You know me. But I have used Crackshot and the Scourge in the regular missions, and it's a solid way to go. I didn't show my Scourge at any point, but it's just, boring perks. Supercharged 144. Link to the video down below if you're looking to perk this thing properly. You don't necessarily want to use these perks, so yep, check out that video. Let's move on to the very last loadout. Now, this is going to surprise hopefully nobody because bows are awesome, but 2 of the top recommendations I got for fun loadouts were the Xenon bow, just period, because it's awesome. As you're seeing here, it's actually very, very fun. But there's a trick. There's a trick. So let's talk about the vacuum tube bow first. The vacuum tube bow currently functions with Stoneheart Pharaoh as it used to when it was quote-unquote bugged. It got reverted to where... Okay, let me just explain the bug. So when you're using Stoneheart Pharaoh in the lead, it can branch out to hit 5 nearby targets. When you hit those targets, it can then trigger the chain lightning from the vacuum tube bow again, which is 5 times, you know, hitting up to 6 enemies. You can hit like an extra 30 enemies from that, and it's a huge amount of damage. You can see that I'm like essentially two-shotting encampments in some of these clips. Very, very powerful, very, very cool, and I'm glad that they reverted it because they thought that was too powerful, but then it just made the community unhappy, and at the current point in the game, updates were slow, so it's like you just gave us something that was cool, and then you just took it back because it was overpowered. Overpowered against what? The zombies? They don't care. So they just quietly added it back into the game. And I've made very little mention into my videos, but yeah, it is currently very strong. And even if that gets nerfed in the future, still, Vacuum Tube Bow is very, very strong. And I used a very boring Blast from the Past build, but I'm going to build something with you guys real quick, something I've been trying a little bit. The Preemptive Strike is kind of a good pick. And there are a couple of other options because... when you're not using dinos, you can use Locked and Reloaded, add an extra 15% damage. When you're not using Saurian Hide, you have another option yet, and that is Extraterrestrial Rio. She adds 20% damage. That's why I took this build off for the Vacuum Tube Bow, because it's locked to nature, but while you're using the Xenon Bow, so long as your shields are 50% or higher, you just have a flat 20% damage bonus, and as long as the enemies are at full health, you get a 32.5% damage bonus, I believe, and it's just great. I think my very first shot with this, I just deleted a Mist monster and was like, holy crap, that is so much damage, because I headshotted it and I must have crit, because it just got deleted. 140 mini boss, or 140 Mist monster just gone, and that was amazing. Every encampment with the Xenon Bow was just easy breezy cover girl with this thing, and I highly recommend this loadout if you're looking to have a good time. As per usual, disclaimer, I do think coconuts is necessary here. It gives you damage and health. It's very good. Most of the reasons for not using it today was laziness, but if you insist, I mean, I guess you can use like Saurian Vigor. She sucks, and so does Survivalist, but those are the only other options, and I don't know. I wouldn't recommend campfires or anything because this is a very mobile build. You do have Mantis Leap, you're a ninja, you're hopping around, you're trying to keep range because you're using a bow. Either way, very, very fun loadout and extremely viable in the end game as well. This is not just fun, this is extremely strong. I know a lot of people who only use the Xenon Bow and don't even use other weapons. That gets boring. I don't recommend that, but it's a thing people do. I probably could have mentioned this earlier, but I think it's obvious. Totally Rockin' Out is also a perfect counterpart to Preemptive Strike. You do kind of have to forego maybe like coconuts, maybe do wafers or something. You can figure it out from there. Locked and Reloaded, I believe, is inferior to Battle Beat, and then just like that, you got a Totally Rockin' Out build. I don't prefer it with bows because the bonus isn't always active. I prefer Preemptive Strike to just have that guaranteed 32% against every full health enemy, but it's up to you. It's your build. You're just trying to have fun. It doesn't matter. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to see a part 2, let me know in the comments down below. If you guys want to use code Mista to check out, I definitely appreciate it. I would love to make more of these. Definitely a fun video, literally speaking. Comment your loadouts down below if you got any good ones that I should do in the future. Subscribe if you're new. Twitch link down below. And take it easy, guys. Alright, so this is the Stoneheart Pharaoh loadout. What the f? Everything just died immediately. And then